So is part 2 of dialogue. Think about when people are speaking to one another. A lot of communication comes through what we call nonverbal communication. What is it that we are doing or looking like as we speak lines? Think about a very simple line like this. Pick that paper up. That can be said in multiple ways, and each way that I'm saying it can reveal a little bit about what might be going on in my head or what I'm thinking. Pick that paper up. Okay? As I walk to say that to somebody, very rarely would I walk up to someone, or would any character walk up to someone, and before we get ready to speak, we put our hands down to our side, we clear our face of expression, and just deliver the message verbally. We say, pick that piece of paper up. Now, our voice tone tells what's going on with us, but more importantly, what we're doing with our body and what we're doing with our face. If I walk over to someone like this, pick that piece of paper up. Look at what I'm doing as I say that. Mrs. Gleiva with her hands clasped and her face showing signs that she was begging him. That tells me what's going on. Now, when you write your story, can you take a picture of what I just did and put that in your story and say, oh, this is what the character is doing? No, you have to write the words that go with it. Now, here's another example. Pick that piece of paper up. What was Mrs. Gleiva doing as she said that? She was pointing. Her face was angry. She had one hand on her hip and her toes were tapping, although you can't see my toes. All of those are things that come along with dialogue. Now, dialogue tags. If we look at the same example that we used in the previous lesson. Tags tell me who's doing the talking. We've been working on that in Grammar Bean. So for example, look at this one. Fish eyes, you are really stupid. What comes immediately after that? She shoved me into the pool. I have an action that goes with what I'm saying. That action tells me something about this character. She shoved me into the pool. She's mean. I don't like her. She's bullying me. Or up here, she pinched me hard. I can tell what's going on with the character and other actions. It doesn't sound very good. It sounds like a play if all I'm doing is listing lines and I'm not telling who's saying it or what they're doing while they're saying it. This is a perfect place for adding when groups. As Mrs. Gleiva walked across the room, she placed her hands on her hips. Her face began to scowl as she stared down at the student. Pick that paper up, she said, as she waved her finger in the air, pointing and accusing him of leaving the paper out for her to pick up. How much more effective than just putting the lines, pick that paper up. So now's what I want you to do, and look in your story. You may have some examples of dialogue. There are a lot of things that you need to do with it. First of all, each and every time that you have a character, you switch back and forth from a different character. That needs to be a new line. Secondly, I want you to really examine the dialogue that you have carefully and think about, as these lines are being spoken aloud by a character, what could I add to the tag, the who's saying it part, to reveal a little bit more about what's going on? Can I say something like what the character's face looked like as they said it? Can I say something about what did their voice sound like as they said it? Can I add a when group that says, as they walked across the room, or as they entered the hallway, right before they speak, to give me a little more information about that? So your goal right now is to go back into some of your dialogue and think about places where you can add some of those details. Clean up your dialogue, how it looks on the page, and see where can I add some details to the words that are being spoken aloud. Now, of course, if I don't have very many words being spoken aloud by characters in my story, I need to go back and add those because that's very important.